Welcome to What the Tech, the show that cuts right through the Silicon Valley hype. Today, we are digging into a startup that launched with one of the wildest promises I have ever heard.
Yeah, cheat on everything. That was it. That was the audacious, almost comically evil promise from a startup called Cluely. And look, it was a promise that burned incredibly bright. And, as we're about to see, incredibly fast. This one little phrase, it really sets the stage for the whole wild story.
And the rise was, it was just meteoric. So the founder, Roy Lee, he actually first made a name for himself by getting suspended from Columbia University for, you guessed it, building a cheating tool. But instead of running from that reputation, he just leaned all the way in. He launched Cluely in April with this intentionally provocative rage bait marketing. And by June, the hype was so real, it landed him a massive Series A round from one of the biggest VCs in the game. And when I say massive, I mean a massive vote of confidence, $15 million. And not from just anyone, but from Andreessen Horowitz. You know him as A16s, one of the top VCs on the planet. They weren't just buying a product here. They were buying the noise, the attention, totally believing this guy had cracked the code on turning controversy into cold, hard cash. And to back it all up, Lee makes this just incredible claim. He gets out there and boasts that Cluely's ARR, that's annual recurring revenue, had more than doubled, from 3 million to 7 million in a single week. Come on, the narrative was set. This thing was the next unicorn for sure. And then, well, just as quickly as it all started, the story completely changed. So that whole promise to cheat on everything, on sales calls, customer support, all of it, yeah, that just kind of evaporated. The reality? Cluely suddenly pivots hard. It's now just an AI assistant for meetings. In other words, it's just another AI note taker in a market that is already completely flooded and basically a commodity. And what about that revenue that was supposedly skyrocketing? Well, get this. Just 4 months after bragging about his insane numbers, Roy Lee does a complete 180. His new advice for founders? What I've learned is you should never share revenue numbers. You gotta ask, what on earth happened to all that growth? So what really happened here? What is the actual truth behind all the PR spin, that chaotic pivot, and the sudden, deafening silence on those so-called record-breaking numbers? We're about to break it all down. This is what we do here at What the Tech. We cut straight through the hype to get to what's real. So if you want more analysis like this, do us a favor, hit like on this explainer, and definitely subscribe to the channel. Okay, let's get into it. All right, the absolute core truth of the whole Cluely saga is this. Virality is nothing more than a sugar high. Sure, it gives you a short, intense burst of energy and attention, but you cannot build a sustainable business on it. It's just not a business model. Cluely's entire playbook was built on what I like to call rage bait customer acquisition. You use controversy to get people angry or curious enough to sign up for a cheap trial. And yeah, it looks great on a chart, it totally inflates your vanity metrics, but in the long run, it absolutely tanks the health of your customer cohorts because you never, ever established any real trust. And look, you can see all the founder's tells if you just listen to what he was saying. When Lee said, launch something that barely works, users will find the use cases for us, he was flat out admitting the product was thin. He was asking the market to do his job for him. The pivot to AI note taker? That wasn't some genius strategic move. It was a desperate retreat to a crowded safe space. And hiding the ARR? That's the easiest tell of all. Silence is always a retention tell. If the numbers were actually good, believe me, he'd be shouting them from the rooftops. All this frantic jumping around wasn't being agile. No way. It was a dangerous game of what I call pivot roulette. Hopping from an interview cheating tool to an all-purpose enterprise tool to a basic consumer note taker. Every single one of those chaotic jumps just resets everything. Your customer knowledge, your sales strategy, your credibility. All while that $15 million in VC money is just burning faster and faster and faster. And this all boils down to a fundamental truth in the tech world. A great brand, even one built on pure hype, can absolutely amplify a great product, but it can never, ever be a substitute for one. So let's just pretend for a second. What would a serious company actually do to fix this mess? Well, first, you'd pick one painful problem in one specific industry and you would solve it from end to end. Second, you'd stop bragging about vanity metrics like ARR and start publishing real results like our tool saves accountants 10 hours a week.
And third, you have to kill the whole edgelord persona and start building a company based on actual legitimacy and trust.
When you step back and look at the whole picture, Cluely is really a perfect textbook case study in one of the most common sins a startup can commit: mistaking controversy for conviction. They had a controversial hook for sure, but they had zero conviction or focus to build a real product that delivered on any kind of promise. Which leaves us all with one final, and I think pretty important question. In this absolutely frantic, hyped-up race for AI dominance, where billions of dollars are just being thrown at thousands of startups, who's the next Cluely? Who's out there right now, hiding in plain sight?